All right, so CanCOVID. Just a quick little pause to ask the question, I assume you all are members and you have signed up, is that correct?
Feel free to chat and
yeah, feel free. Like I said, we're a small group, so it's not too easy, not too hard to. It's easy to hear each other. I just want to make sure I'm pitching it correctly. So, in any case, it seems like we're not getting. Do we have
a couple of yeses?
Okay, great. Perfect. So CanCOVID comprises various groups of people. We have not only researchers, but also members from the hospital and healthcare. We have patients and partner advocates. We have some community health participants, but definitely the bulk of our membership is academics and researchers, with some industry partners and some government representatives as well. And there's a visual representation of some of the organizations that we represent, that we have memberships represented. This is by no means fully complete, but it just shows you the breadth, gives you a little bit of an idea of the scope. So one of the things that CanCOVID was built for was to connect researchers. We've heard many stories of people being able to develop teams simply by someone posted an article and they sent a direct message to the person who posted, and that's how a team came together. This is a quote from Alison Secular, who put together a team in just that way. She was actually just literally approached. So one of the things I want to emphasize is don't be shy. We've all sort of been vetted in order to be a member of CanCOVID in the first place. So it's totally fine to approach one another, and that's definitely the spirit that it's built on, openness. So one of the things that CanCOVID is for is to weigh in on governmental policy and make sure that they're making evidence-based, science-friendly decisions, and that they have all of the information that they need to make those decisions. We've got this chart here, which shows how information is flowing. We have several ways in which that happens. Sometimes decision makers pose a question to the membership, and we will circulate that either on the Slack platform, which we'll talk about in a minute. We also will put a link in our newsletters when there are those things. So that's how we broadcast it. And then as a member, we ask you to weigh in if it pertains to you, if you have an opinion of it, if there's any sort of research or evidence that you can bring to the equation. The other way that information flows is bottom up. So if you have discovered something and you think that their government is not doing enough about it, you can get together with other people on CanCOVID and sort of collaboratively create. We've had several issue notes come out this way, one on the importance of collecting race and ethnicity data through Canada. So that's another way that information is shared. And that's kind of the point of the whole network, is to make sure that we're increasing the level of communication. Our hope is it's not only just around COVID, but that in the future, this scientific literacy is a very important topic. And we would like policymakers in general to get used to the idea that there is science and there is evidence and there is research that you can pull from in order to make policy decisions. So that's that. The challenge questions that I mentioned, one of the things that we're working on is, what is the value for you to spend your time to read the questions and formulate a response to them? One of the ways that we recommend is that you can reference your participation in the contribution section of your CV. According to the DORA agreement, there's a new recognition that this is as equally important as contributing to publications. And also it's just really super cool to get to influence policy. We also have a speaker series. Our speaker series happens on Tuesdays from 4 to 4:30. It's purposefully very brief, so it doesn't take a lot of time out of your day. The login info can be found on our Slack channel, but we've also got a new Google Events calendar. It also comes out in our weekly updates newsletter. here's an example of some of the topics. The thing that we're looking for in the speaker series is a breadth of topics. So we don't specialize in any one area of science. Like I said, we're currently organized around COVID research, and so sharing whatever the latest is in whatever that discipline happens to be. We also try to, have broad representation just in all of the ways across that. There we go. Some of this might be unfamiliar, which is part of the reason why we tried to put together this little panel on get the most out of CanCOVID, because it is a little bit non-traditional of a way of working. It's heavily built on collaboration and transparency, and we're all hopeful for big change. We've also got some special events coming up. Here's a slide that didn't get updated because that date is actually July 22nd. But, oh no, the Open Science Roundtable, that already happened. The Industry Collaboration Panel, it does have a date now. It is July 22nd. It's also in the newsletter. And one of the most important things about the CanCOVID network is the idea is that it's rapid response. So in the notion of increased communication, it's figuring out ways to shortcut the process and cut out the middleman, and how can we change this cycle. So it's so wonderful that you're all a part of that. And now I will stop sharing my screen and turn it over to Chloe, who will give a little primer on Slack.
Hi, everybody. I'm just going to share my screen. Here we go. Share. All right. So we're approaching this with the understanding that some of you may have a ton of experience with Slack, and some of you this may be the first time you're using this particular platform. So we're going to be fairly thorough, but I'm going to barge right through all of the information. If you have questions, please do put them in the chat box, and those can be questions about CanCOVID or about Slack, and we'd be happy to address them at the end of the session. Okay. So let me see. Sorry, I'm just trying to, there we go. Excellent. So you get onto Slack and you realize, oh, I'm not sure how to do something, so-and-so and such and such. So here we have the #Slack help guide. You can go there and you can put any of your concerns within the chat box there, and you will get assistance. We have people on our team who are power users who can be there to help you along with any issues that you may have. So one of the first things we'd like to request from you is that you update your CanCOVID profile information. The more that you put out there, the more that we can facilitate this community that we're trying to build. So you just put in your full name, anything, what you do, your job title, affiliations that you may have, website, and then some optional additions are secondary affiliations, Twitter, LinkedIn, etc. And then click Save Changes at the end. And then that way, when somebody clicks on your profile, they'll get all the information about you. This can be very exciting because you could find that, for example, somebody's looking for somebody to collaborate with on a particular speciality, for example. They can look that up in the search bar and your name would come up, and then they can immediately find you too, and you guys could begin collaborating. So you want to join channels, right? So you go into the channel section down here and you hover over channels, and you can select the channels you want to find. Now, something that I like to do actually, and I'm going to actually exit out of this because I have a preferred way of finding channels, which is Channel Browser. Everybody can see this, right, Kimberly?
Yes.
So this is actually my preferred way of finding channels. So here it lists all 51 if you go to Channel Browser, but you can also go in here and say, okay, say you're a social scientist, you write in social, and then boom, social and behavioral sciences, right? It's the easiest way, in my opinion, to find the channels that you might be interested in. And then once you've added any that you're interested in, you can just find them over here. Okay, I'm just gonna make this present again. Excellent. Direct messages can be very useful. We like to encourage people to message within channels so that we're encouraging this open communication, but there are times that once you've found the person you want to collaborate with, you can take that conversation out of the public sphere and into the private sphere. So you just go down to the direct message section, and you can see over here there's a little plus button. You click that and you can select the person who you'd like to start a conversation with.
And as I said, we do encourage open communication, and so you shouldn't be afraid about approaching people. The etiquette is just like you would have a conversation if you approach someone at a conference or at a cocktail party, or if you ran into them on campus. Introduce yourself, say a little bit why you're interested or why you're reaching out. Just like any human communication, it's just that it's taking place with letters on typing.
All right. So threads are a very useful way to organize your discussions. So you'll find that within your channels here, that there can be a general sort of conversation going on within the channel. But then what you can do is if somebody brings up a particular point that you're interested in, rather than replying to it to the entire channel, you can actually reply to that particular post, and then that conversation can be separated from everything else in a way. So this is how you view a thread. So you see you have it here, and then, oh, sorry, I'm just gonna go back because I think I missed something over there. Go to the channel and type a new message. Right, yeah, we got that. Right, and you're gonna see the thread over there. So what you're gonna do is you see here, it says one reply. You'll click on that one reply, and then you're gonna see the thread here, and then you can reply just to the thread. And once you've gotten to that point, you either start your thread or you put your reply here in the chat box. Now, emojis, they're wonderful, very useful things.
They seem silly, but they're not silly.
We love them. Really what it indicates is that you've either seen something that somebody has posted, or that you're working on a task that somebody's requested that you start on. So for example, over here, we're seeing the thumbs up is indicating, oh, I've seen this message, I'm working on it. And also you can use things like somebody has something to announce that's very exciting. You can use the little celebration emoji. All of these things can help indicate your attitude around things, and then how that workflow is going to work. And check mark meaning I'm on it. All of this is very useful for your potential team members and collaborators. So how to use the emojis. You'll see that when you're hovering over a message, there's a little smiley face. And as you hover over it and then you click on the smiley face, you'll see the 5 options of all the different emojis that you can click on. And you can select whichever one works best for you. I find that
you can also type something into that search bar and see what comes up. There's a whole host of emojis, just like in any iPhone or tool that you might use, and some of them are quite silly, but again, that adds a little bit of levity and fun to our lives.
Yes, we love levity. All right, this is a very useful tool because sometimes information can go up the feed of a particular channel. So if you save a particular message, it's going to go into your saved items, so you can have it be separated from the entire feed, which can be very useful. Was there something you wanted to add to that, Kimberly?
Yeah, just the channels are organized chronologically, so sometimes you lose track of when you saw something. So if there's anything that you want to keep track of, that saved button is really useful. Someone posts a link to an article, you don't have time to read it right now, but it looks interesting. Someone says something that you don't want to forget about. Just sort of helps you to keep track of things.
Mm-hmm. Pinning. So you'll want to pin something if you want to put it at the top of the feed so that it's the first thing that everybody sees. Often we will, because we're administrators, we might want to have the community know about something before everything else, but you can also do that to ensure that the community that you're a part of is aware of your activities or what you're sharing. So to be able to pin a message, what you do is once you've composed it, there's the 3 little dots over here. Once you click on the 3 little dots, you have some options of what you can do with that post. And one of those is pinned to the channel, and that will make it so that it's the first item that people see. All right, options with messages. So as we said, we have reactions. You can reply to a thread or you can save. More things you can do. See, this can be useful, right? Sometimes you're on a thread and maybe it has moved beyond something and you've gotten the information that you need, but you keep on getting pinged about it. You can unfollow it. Mark as unread is very useful. The one that I love is remind me about this, because sometimes I get pinged Saturday afternoon. I'm at the beach. This did happen this weekend. And I was like, okay, I can't respond to this right now, but I want to remember to respond later on. So you can click on remind me about this, and then you can select when you want to be pinged about it again. It can be in a couple of hours or it could be the next morning. It's up to you. You can customize that. You can change your notification settings, right? So mine right now just notify me all the time, but you can change your preferences and you can make it so that you're set to away or not receiving notifications, so that when you finally do come back online, for example, you can get notifications then rather than throughout your day. We will also share this slide deck because I know that we're going through quickly, so you can get the detailed version later on.
And in fact, these are all pages that are taken from our Slack guide that our power users put together, and that's posted in the help channel right now, so it's easy to find.
Excellent. So you'll notice that when you have an unread message, or even, for example, if you're part of a channel and maybe the message hasn't been particularly targeted at you, if anybody posts that channel, you'll see that the channel becomes bolded and you'll know that there's new information to check out there. And the other thing is when you are on a feed of a channel, you can tell where the place where the last time you read something on that channel, you'll see that little red line indicating new, and everything after that is what you need to catch up on. Yes. See, this is another one that I find useful. For example, that I have starred the management team because they're often messaging me about things. So when you star it, as you can see here, it puts it into a section of your, I'm just going to minimize this for a second so you can see it. So the starred section, as you can see, is right at the beginning here, right? So I don't have to scroll through all of the different channels. It's just right here, and I immediately have access to that channel where all my team members are. Back to this, present. You can make calls via Slack. I think there is video as well. So if you're having a great conversation with somebody and you think, I would like to have a conversation where I can see your face, you can use the...
Or if you just are finding that you're going back and forth about something, it's the same thing as anything else. Like sometimes instead of sending a million emails, you can touch base on the phone for 30 seconds and solve the problem. So
exactly.
If that's a more efficient method.
Yeah, absolutely. You could start a call with your entire channel, but it is limited to 15 people. The member directory is extremely useful. It can help you find people who, either you can search people by name, but you could also use a different search bar to actually search by speciality. So here you have people. So if you know that your buddy Bob is on here, you could put in Bob and you're able to find them.
But okay. This workspace member directory, I think leads us right back to filling out your profile. If you don't fill out your profile, then you're not searchable and it's hard for people to find you. And just think about how you would like to find information about other people. That doing that for yourself, it's the same thing as wearing a mask. It's not always about protecting you. It's sometimes about helping other people too. We've got a question so now is definitely our time for questions.
Yeah.
Lindsay asks, is Slack web-based or an application that is downloaded? And it is both. You can either use it in the web or download the app. The app has maybe 1 or 2 differences in terms of features that it allows you, but the browser is very, very similar. So it's probably whatever is easier for you. Do you want to show the difference between the web
Yeah,
one and the app
absolutely.
one?
Just before I go into that, I just wanted to show that if you're ever trying to search CanCOVID in general, and that can be people, that can be subjects, that can be anything, it's all in that search bar over here. So right now I am actually on the, sorry, just trying to make this a little smaller so you can see it. So I use the web client. I'm sorry, I don't use the web client. I use the desktop client. So that's right here. And it pretty much is exactly the same. I haven't noticed any major differences of you, Kimberly, of
No,
between that and the web.
I found one thing, but it was something so minor I can't even remember what it is now.
Yeah, slack.com. You should go straight in. I'm not logged in right now. Are you already logged in? I'd rather not put all my details.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say maybe don't type your login. Suffice it to say, you can go to the website and do that there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do we have any other questions? Like we're certainly here to guide you through. Is there a burning question that you had about CanCOVID? Like I said, it's all about open communication and participation, and the strength of the network is built on the membership. So it's sort of led by you as well, and what is useful, and we can only make it as useful to you as you tell us what is useful. So please don't be shy. Don't hesitate. Oh, how can I find out what the emojis mean? I will share my screen and show you the emojis. So if you're in here and it's add a reaction, you can see when you like hover over on the bottom, it says laughing, it says woman gesturing no, rolling on the floor laughing, confetti ball. So that's the label of it is how you search it. I do a lot of Canada flag because I'm silly. But that's how, super easy. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'm missing. The search feature, I think, is a really underused. Like, for example, we did a roundtable on open science, so I was looking, who's been talking about open science? So there's these messages. Obviously, I was posting about it a lot myself. There's also files. You can click on that tab, and it will pull up anything that's been shared across the platform wide. And then also people. So here are people who have filled out their profile and indicated that open science is of interest to them in some capacity. And then we also have channels. So there are two channels that sort of deal with this concept, both our theme data sharing discussion and the open science channel. And the nice thing about this using the search function is that you click on anything and it will also just get you to there. So the search bar becomes very useful, not only for finding things, but for shortcutting processes. So that way you don't have to think about it. Do we have other questions?
Ian had a follow-up here. I said, I don't want somebody to think my emoji means I'm on it when I mean that's a good idea, but I'm not doing it. 100% makes sense. I think that has to do with the dynamic that you have with whoever you're putting the emoji
and I
with,
think he's probably referring to people when you don't know someone.
Yeah.
I find the acknowledgement emoji of the thumbs up to be the safest one, because it's fairly universal in how it's used, which is just an acknowledgement that you've seen it, and it's a positive, like, yep, got it. Not necessarily that you're doing it. When you're doing it, I generally use the checkmark feature just to say, like, checkbox. There's some amount of intuitive language if you're not well versed in emojis or the complexities or nuances of them, I encourage you to just use the simple ones. The happy face is a pretty universal one. Like I said, the thumbs up, the check mark, that makes it a little bit easier, I bet. Oh yes, and asking your teenage children would be very useful.
Awesome.
But it's something that I've noticed around the CanCOVID Slack specifically, is that people don't seem to be comfortable with using emojis. And I just, I acknowledge that it is very generationally based, and it's also exposure based. But once you start using them, you sort of begin to learn, just like any language, when you practice using them, they become second nature and you sort of understand them a little bit better. So just like any language, start with the basics, start small, and then get more comfortable later. And I've taken to recently with some of the management team, they expressed that they enjoyed the emojis. And so now I just look for the weirdest ones I can find, and then it becomes this whole other game. So it's not just business and science over here.
Mm-hmm. Are there any other questions or points of discussion? Here we go.
Yes. Can we use this platform to seek information, for example, to ask network members if they know where to find provincial data or provincial guidelines, et cetera? Also, can we use this network to share work in progress? For example, if I'm working on a new COVID-related project and to add to a list of projects underway. Absolutely. So using the platform to seek information is, my computer just went dark for a second.
To follow up on what Kimberly was saying, that it's 100% absolutely yes, yes, yes. We want you to reach out to each other and to ask for that kind of information, and also to share what your progress is. I think that's part of what the goal is. It's an open science experiment as well. So please do, we would love that. It's all good, Kimberly.
Okay,
There
I think I'm back. I don't know what happened. My computer screen just went dark. It was very disturbing.
Don't worry, I covered the question.
So starting a new thread. So let's just go into Slack and take a look. So if I were wanting to post something, let's see, here we go. So the general channel is often where people will make general statements. And if you want to post a message, you would just post a message here. Here, where's a safe place to play? Random. So I'm in the random channel right now. And then you just post it. So that's how you would ask a question, is just by posting it in the box. And I have it set to push return so that will send the message. Speaking of, that actually reminds me of a tip. A useful tip. If you want to not send the message, but just create a line break, push Shift and then Enter. And so see how it created that space, but it didn't send the message yet. That is very, very helpful. And then I just sent another message. So that's how you would pose a question. If you are looking for data, for example, I would find so using Chloe's tip to search and find, there you go, data, and it's data sharing discussion. So this would be a great place to get access to those kinds of statistics and things. And so you could post a message here. And then the other part of your question, I can't see because I am screen sharing. Yes, so that would be, yes, so it would be starting a new thread. So then you can ask people in a particular channel if they know where to find whatever you're looking for. And yes, it's the same exact process if you want to use the network to share work in progress. So if you have a preprint that you'd like to share, if you just have a research concept that you're working on, one of the channels that is very particularly good at that is the social and behavioral sciences channel. So they often have, they're often asking each other about what are the things that you're working on, as you can see here. So Diane Finegood says that she's, oh, this is actually about response. Read the message before you. So that's looking into perceptions of COVID measures. Here's some templates for some impact narratives, which are very useful. And that's the thing that you can do. if you can't figure out what category it should be in, what channel you might want to post it in, then you can use the general channel, because the general channel has all of the members in it. If you're ever curious about how many people are in a channel, you can look at the top. Underneath this title of the channel is the member list. And then if you click on that, it brings up the member list. The green dot next to your name just means that that's online. The general channel is the one channel that absolutely everyone that's ever been invited to CanCOVID is in. It's basically the default. Same with the announcements channel. But if you wanted to look at like diagnostics serology, for example, this has 70 members, so that's a much smaller group and more specialized, and this will show you who is a member of these groups. And if you wanted to see more about them, you could click on their name and then view full profile and see. This is where I would say, this person, I didn't mean to pick on her, it was an accident, hasn't given us any information about what she does or where she works exactly. So it's a little bit harder to know without then doing the work of Googling them. So that's why we encourage everyone to fill out their profiles. Excellent. Well, that's great. We are at 4:30. If anybody has any questions at all whatsoever, you can either direct message. You now know how to direct message. So you can direct message myself, the program manager, or Chloe, our program assistant for CanCOVID. We are here to take your feedback. If you have any suggestions for something that you think that CanCOVID should do, that would be great. I encourage you to do that as well. And also just, go team, and good job getting your research done.